Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Fantasize. Its 5-year mission to finish a 3-hour tour.
A 3-hour tour.
Hello once again, and welcome back, or welcome for the first time to a Haphazard episode. I know I have anime up here, I apologize, but if you can see, I had put in 7 deadly sins. Oh, you may not be able to see that far up. And I come up with Captain Meliodas. Apparently, this is Captain Meliodas. And there is a whole storyline that I am thoroughly unaware of. And you may be good for you. However, this isn't at all what I'm going to be talking about in this particular episode. But what I will bring up are things you need to know. That's the best way to start an episode. Or one fine day, Meliodas, pardon me, for any of you Puritans, Meliodas stepped into the room, floated into the castle, and a jet was flying overhead at the time. The curiosity that I am bringing up are the same curiosities that you watch in pretty much every type of episode that you watch or listen to. You have these, I would say, naturally inherent desires to come to know exactly what the hell somebody's talking about. Is what you're looking at this particular point in time going to make any difference within the next future that you have? The next 20 seconds, the next 10 minutes give you cause to pause and ponder the details of that which you see in relation to what is being said. And I find it curious that when you bring up the 7 deadly sins, you don't get, that's cuddly, cute, and inspires several of these 7 deadlies for many. However, the point of the conversation was no matter what the conversation is, you are going to find a curious interest in relation to that which you have as interests, as which I am doing at this point in time. So, as I mentioned, it doesn't have anything to do with what this production today is about. However, everything has everything to do with everything. And so, let's get into the first episode of that which inspires bits and pieces of these for us to survey, purvey, and possibly consider. All right, thanks for joining. Let's get into today's curious event. Hello once again, and welcome back to another Curious Haphazard recording with your host, Reynard. Before I tell you what you absolutely need to know, I would like to thank my new subscribers for subscribing, and before I go into where this location is through a comment on my channel, I'd just like to mention that I have been out. I don't like to start out my productions. The last production I said I was in Chicago tripping on acid, but in actuality I was fishing this little baby out in Scotland. I was fishing for Nessie, and I caught her, and it was a catch and release program. So I let her go, and I would have taken a photograph. Almost took a nice photograph of Nessie. We became good friends. But I thought I might capture her soul, as the early Indians believed, and certain tribes in Aboriginal tribes believe that you capture the soul of Nessie. And so, just wanted to let you know I was out fishing for Nessie and caught her. So I did that. That's off my bucket list. Now, let's get into the next part of today's production in the comments section. Here, I'm going to just clip over and take a look at the comments that were given here. Where Adrian Xenia, thank you for your information and comments, says that the island in Port Phillip Bay, Melbourne, Australia is also called Mud Island on the King high tides. It goes underwater. No good for real estate and very cold in the winter. And I find that curious, the whole summer-winter thing in the expanse of the place that we live on. And now, as Adrian Xenia mentions, here near Melbourne in the country of Australia, as you can see, plainly see, clearly see. Right, we were talking about the island, Mud Island. And for people that aren't familiar or didn't see that particular episode, as you see as I zoom in closer and closer, you see the eyeball right here, or you know, what appears to be, and that is what Adrian Xenia was mentioning. I believe that this is called Mud Island and located quite cold in the winter and curious. Queen's Cliff. And there's Swan Bay. And the Blues Train, Queen's Cliff. Curious. Would love to go visiting one day or someday. Swan Bay. I wonder if there's an overabundance of swans in Swan Bay. And there's Swan Island. I wonder if it's a big petrified swan. Looks like one to me. Okay. And that was my swan song. Whew. Telling you. Well, if you got a mud-eye here that gets, what do you say, submerged in different times of the year with the tide, and then you have an indented head. Am I reading that properly? Indented head. Wow. And so I'm sure if I turn this in a proper direction, I will see be able to, just looking for the indented head. And it does appear to be an indented head. There's a lot of faces. Well, I can see the, you know, if you take this point as a nose and your forehead here, etc. and so forth. That would give the hollow cheek and a low jaw. Get the very lower, almost animated jawline. Indented head. Who came up with that name? Now, I've got to go to the museum. They must have a museum here somewhere. And they, right. And do you have roads out here? Does a tide go in and out and show these roads? And you can drive on it when the tide's out? Is that why all these lines are here? Or is that an illusion? Maybe that's not what I think it is. And how far out do these... No, that is an illusion. I thought that was... Okay, somebody who lives over here has to tell me where the water line is, because this doesn't... Alright, there's a water, or a shoreline, I should say. Seems a bit confusing because of the color differentiations within the... From indented head over here to the right, where all these are boats, obviously. Boats in the water. But what confused me, or gave me pause to ponder, were all of these road lines at the bottom of the water. So that is a curious detail. And since you can see them from here, I wonder what the appearance would be if you were in the boat. Or now you can see the ripples on the water. And then what appears to be... I don't know, does that appear to be a shoreline? That's not a shoreline. This water continues in a color differentiation, creating my massive confusion near the indented head. And then also these roads right here. Don't these roads here and to the left? Well, that's a golf course. Yeah, that's laid out. See this layout? That's a golf course layout. Right there, that's a golf course for sure. So this is probably another golf course over here. So then they must have had underwater golf courses. Why is this doing this? I swear, this thing is jumping all over. At any rate, the underwater golf course was probably located here. And I'm just thinking, you know, why don't we have some underwater golf courses? I think it's a multi-trillion-dollar idea. You can go ahead and patent that. But you see where this got me here? You see where this particular from? So thank you for the comment. I really, really appreciate all of the comments that I get. And once again, we'll eventually try to go through especially in that now that I will have hundreds of thousands of comments due to all of the multitudes of subscribers. So, thanks for that, and let's get back to comments. Thank you, Adrian, for giving me that information. I was about to go into a few of the Google Earth anomalies. And so here we have a comment from Michael Well. Thank you, Michael, for subscribing, if you did. And I will be checking shortly. Let's see. Interesting stuff you have there. Did you know that before DC ever existed, that the area was known as Rome? No, I didn't. But I wouldn't be too very surprised. Thank you, Michael. Same applies to New York City. Before its existence, the geographical area was well known as Babylon. Should we dare talk about Southern Illinois and its original title? Well, yes, Michael, feel free to, and thank you for that observation and information. There are so many of historical details that that's part of what we like to question, and thank you for this information. Andre Henriquez says hi at 540. Where is it? And so let's take a quick at the location in 540. That particular location is at the top end of Africa. If I go into Google Earth, I recall where this is. And now I had originally thought that texture was up around Africa, but realized that in my earlier videos I was covering the Potosi area and the geography around the Potosi silver mine. And that is where I now believe that geographical anomaly was located. Now, pardon me while I write. It was around Lake Titicaca, as I recall. And looking at the landscape in itself, you can see it begins to resemble, the closer I get, the more it begins to resemble that. Oh, how do I put it? Lizard sort of a texture in the mountain ranges. And then the coloration as well. As I pull back, I'll show you the Potosi silver mine area. It's going to be just down here. And the type of terrain that I am speaking of which I speak, is quite evidenced clearly the closer that I zoom in, the more you see that texture that I was showing. But to find that specific spot, I mean, there is a vast number of very curious textures in the Potosi silver mine area, and flows, as you can see, all of the curious vein type flows. And then these textures, as I was mentioning, it's almost like the scales of the dragon showing up in Africa. See how these point to the left or to the east, as it were. Okay, that location that I was looking at, Mr. Enriquez, was right up in this neck of the woods here. So northern Africa. And the specific spot, I was perusing or investigating this area above the dragon, and so this is the terrain that I had been zooming down in on in this general vicinity. So were I to go in on this, you could actually see a sort of a spinal area here along this way here, and the texture is a very curious texture, and there is so much in this area. That's, I think, why I pulled back out of the other video in all of the multiplex of textures and directions and types of flows that you have going on through here. And then the curious consideration, I'm going to turn the map to bring this into a vertical aspect. and the directions, how the directions line up with the north, south, east, and west area. And so that exact spot I would have to hunt for, possibly for a while, or reinvestigate the video for its location. But to answer the question, this is the general vicinity of where I was in that video, to my recollection. So now check this out. I just noticed this, and of course this is part of the Haphazard universe. Wait, you notice the ridges along here. Now I'm going to turn this once again to orient it so these ridges. Now, if I go in even closer, this seems to emulate. That could be the illusion, the reversal. And this gets us into a bit of a curious area. This always has been, to zoom down in on and investigate and look at the illusions created. Like, is that an indentation or a rise? Is it a plateau? And then all of the different layering and flows that you see. Quite curious indeed. I'm going to hunt for that exact spot that I was talking about here, because I believe it was, let's see here, we've got the dragon right here, and zooming down in on the dragon. Alright, now the area that I commonly will investigate is the Northern African area right here, and the flows. If you look at all the contours, spines, and flows of this area in Africa, where the Moroccan dragon outline has the appearance, I'm going to zoom back on this. I'm going to look at that neck area and zoom down in close to what people have considered, I've mentioned it myself, in the spiny texture. I'll zoom in even closer in the spine area. Believe that this is the area that I was investigating, and it was north of that dragon, and also quite a bit west, I believe, where I was finding these strange textures. And they are, well, let me just show you. Just above the dragon, if you're not familiar with the dragon, quote unquote, I will make a line from its nose. Let me move this. Its tail down in this area right here, tail area. And then the nose is up in this area right here. So this dragon, 1,034 miles from tail to nose. That's the dragon. Now, I think in that video I was looking, get rid of this now, above that area at the textures up here, to where I found that particular texture. But as I recall, I was also looking at this area. Let's see here. Over here as well. And so let me see if this area just above what somebody had identified as a large jellyfish, I was looking in this northern area as well, and this may be where I had found that texture. Let me just see here. Zoom in a little closer. Right. Yeah. There we go. This has a similar contour, so I believe it was up in this area that I was looking at those particular textures. Because whenever you have this huge sand area, it gives me cause to pause and ponder this massive amount of sand. And then what, could it have strayed from or been eroded from? And that's why I will zoom in on the outer perimeters of the sandy areas to find these odd textures. And so yes, here you have a similar curious flow and almost lizard-like. I'm going to turn this slightly. Right. And now zooming in even closer, you can see all these roadways and towns ad infinitum in this area. And these are present and active areas. So 41 north, 79 east is where I've found these textures and believe that I had discovered that other one. And it should show in the video, but I do zoom my videos in. So, wanted to cover that briefly for Andre Enriquez. I hope I have caught that in. Let's see here, and in this video, what am I actually saying?
Interesting. I mean, you look at the scaling and distances and types of flows that are in here, and Quackademia will tell you that this is wind.
Yeah, I'm kind of hard on science. Let me see if I can determine the exact location of this specific area.
To look at it gives you the appearance of a scaly, very large scale.
Biological material.
Town built like right there. There's a town.
Yeah.
Thing. I mean, it's just like the.
There's another town in the whole sectioned off area. Zoom back. Oh, okay, that's an image. Huh. Image. Okay. Let's ignore the guy in the bird mask and get back to the actual. That was an image. Right, where did that image come from? Got us through. Oh, and Andre, I may have mispronounced your name. I apologize for that. I like to end in a final conclusion, and in my last video I didn't actually have finality or a conclusion. I apologize for that, and would like to mention some of my subscribers. Aren't you Nate, Thomas Bezzy, Captain Kirk has a great channel, and thank you for once again. Play-Doh now. There is Poo Putty. The curiosities of how things were and are part of my productions, and also the exciting prospect of me getting together the tinfoil coat hangers, duct tape, and curtain rods that it'll take to get to the moon, just as NASA did in '69. Moira Egan, thank you for your comments. And I originally cast my productions out of the spur of the moment, and occasionally that goes terribly, terribly awry. However, looking forward to my trip to the moon in my next episode. Possibly might take 2 weeks at most for me to create that. Now, Ilka Freiman always puts out great videos, and we're going to be going through those in more of the upcoming episodes. And of course, Joseph Brandenburg has a sub-channel that it comes up before mine does in searches. Thank you, Joseph, for all of the curious, interesting comments about the lines in the ocean floor. In the videos, when you have time to go through them, I always appreciate the details about the mud-flooded incidents and observations that we continue to make in our strange little universe. You have mud fossils here, mud flood there, another small triangle from the left side and a big one in Spain. There was a lot that I did not cover in that leather map issue. I may want to remove the word PewDiePie's mistakes and get that off of the header. But thank you once again, Jim Dillinger, and call him what you like, Dizdanahazamna, for all of your excellent comments. White Tiger, always a pleasure. So Captain WTF, and all of you guys, thanks for commenting, liking, and subscribing, and I will be back to talk to you soon about other strange and curious anomalies and that which I have done in the grandeur of mankind. So thanks for playing. Talk to you soon.